Hello and welcome to the Pandaverse. I'm Elgin, the E and C and E.
I'm Christine, the C and the C and E.
And we're joined, we have Alan listening in to make sure we don't do anything wrong. And we have Jule Selbo, one of our authors. She's got some news, big news.
The news is that my book, 10 Days, A D-Rumble Mystery, was officially released August 11th, which was this week. Last week, I guess, because it's Sunday today. And so it's very exciting. And what's also very exciting for me and makes me feel really great is the reviews have come out, and some of the reviews have come out, and they've been really nice, which is, as you guys know, you always go, well, it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's nice when they kind of get what you're doing.
Yeah, when you see that a new review's been posted, before you even read it, you kind of close your eyes and
Yeah.
Yeah.
wait a
go,
second.
"Oh,
Wait a second. I hope they
that."
liked it. I hope they liked it. We're all seeking approval. I mean, that's all authors are about. We just want people to read our stuff.
Well, except for when you're right deep in it. For me at least, I don't care. I go, no, this is fun because it gives me some way to dig into life. And then once it gets to you guys and you're like, okay, we're going to publish this, then I start thinking down the road.
Yeah, I've got a lot of books that are like sitting in a virtual drawer that
Oh no, really?
haven't seen the light of day yet. It's like,
because
do I want to share that part of my brain? Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, I have an excuse because I write sci-fi fantasy, so anything's possible in my world. Yeah. But I mean, you're a crime mystery suspense thriller writer, so there's some hard and fast rules that you have to follow because there's a police procedural element to your writing. You've got the noir going on because it's a detective mystery. Even though Dee doesn't start off being a detective, she kind of gets dragged into it. It's a fascinating way that the story in your book evolves.
She's she was a cop, and she's on injured reserve, or she's on injured leave, and so she's working for her godfather, who's a private investigator, and she's
doing the books for him.
Yeah, and he goes down to Florida to share his kidney with his brother, or to give his brother one of his kidneys. And so he says, you got to take care of this friend of mine. So she gets pulled into it.
And
so she has some.
And the friend is a billionaire, and he's got a high tech business, high tech firm. He's a genius, and his daughter's also a genius, and she contributes some technology to his firm's interests, but she's got her own like little business on the side that she runs, and she disappears.
Yeah.
And this is after announcing she's going to get married, and it all comes as a sudden surprise.
Originally, the title was 10 Days to a Wedding, and I pulled my friends and you guys, and it was just that little nod towards wedding that some people could go, oh, no, this is a romance.
Right.
So we made it 10 days, which I'm very happy about because now I'm working on 9 days. And then I'll go to 8 days, and I'll go to 7 days. Because I want it to be it's a series. I want to do at least, down to 1 day, I think.
I think that's great, Jule. I think that's going to keep readers just wanting more. I know I want more.
This is a really good book.
Thanks.
I like the way that it starts off being almost warm and fuzzy. I mean, it feels a lot more like a like a cozy mystery at the beginning, but don't be deceived because it's like every chapter it gets a little darker and a little darker. There's more stuff going on in the background. More layers of the onion are being peeled back, and poor Dee gets dragged in, kicking and screaming because she's not a quiet person.
Yeah, she's a great
And
character.
she's a badass, and she doesn't carry a gun. So I mean, how badass is that? And people are getting hurt and killed and dying around her. I mean,
Just a regular day in Portland, Maine.
another, that's what I was thinking is that, the Chamber of Commerce must, they're probably going, oh, no, 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 we're not like that. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. Every time I was thinking, okay, because living in that crime world, especially because I love my new city, my adopted city so much, Portland. And, I live on top of a hill near a park, and I walk into town, and I don't see some of the more rugged parts of the city every day. So every once in a while I'd have to remind myself, and I'd go into the crime log, the daily crime log, and I would go into here, and maybe you can do it in every state, but here you can actually go to the prison system and click on who's incarcerated right now and what did they do. So it was a way to remind myself that, okay, it's okay, there are bad people.
Well, they're bad people everywhere. And,
It's
a lot of times you have to interface with them directly, when you work in retail.
So where did this idea come up? Where did it come from?
For Dee Rommel.
Yeah.
Well, it's really one of my favorite genres to read. And I'd worked on a couple of television shows that had some mystery and stuff in them. And I knew how difficult, probably not for Michael Connelly, but I knew how difficult that whole setting it up and the clues and the red herrings and stuff like that were going to be. And so it was a genre I'd put off for a while. And I thought, well, okay, it's time. And I just, I knew I wanted it to be a female. I wasn't sure whether she was going to be a cop or a PI, but I thought, well, let's give her, a question of exactly what she wants to do in her life. And then I just sat down and I started writing it because I knew I wanted to get started. And the fact that she had sustained an injury on the force just kind of came as I was writing. So she just started growing and her voice started growing. And because I've always been fascinated by the fact that men often have relationships with each other where men kind of like they're always on offense. They're always like joking with each other or ribbing each other or making like criticizing each other and all that kind of stuff. And men just kind of take it as this is relationship stuff, and they can be very honest and it doesn't destroy relationships. Whereas women are much more careful and we worry about people's feelings. And so we temper with what we're saying. And I just thought, I grew up with brothers and I thought, I'm kind of tired of being that, portraying women who are, nice. It's not that Dee isn't nice, but she's tough and she kind of says what's on her mind. And I decided I'm going to write her more as a character on the offense, not an offensive character, but a character on the offense where she's protecting herself, and she's protecting herself by kind of always putting somebody else on edge and calling bull and calling, just kind of like not cushioning the truth. So those were the things that I had in my head before I started.
And she's an obsessive personality about solving puzzles.
Yeah.
I mean, she wants to figure out what's going on, what's really going on, and she wants to get justice for people.
Yeah, I know that for myself that when I teach in my screenwriting classes, I say you got to really figure out what drives your main character, and the main drive of a lot of people is either love or power or security or justice and respect. And I kind of looked back at my personal thing, and I know that I like justice. I like people to get good when they deserve it, get bad when they deserve it. and also respect is very important. So I really tried to put those into her.
I think you did a nice job.
Oh, good.
I think you did real good.
Yeah, she's very,
I love it.
she's very possessive of her friends, and wants to take care of them. And one of her friends gets really abused in this book. I won't go into the details. I don't want to ruin it, but that was a gripping subplot of the whole thing. The interesting part was, you have all these distinct things going on that seem to be, at best tangential. They're not really connected well. And somehow by the end of the book, it all comes together and it all focuses on, there's a lot of bad people in the book, but there's one bad person that's worse than any of them. And he's the, I gave away that it's a guy, but he's the reason that everything bad has happened, in this book, really.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I have a friend who lives on an island right off the coast here in Portland, and it's just a 10-minute boat ride over to this island. And I went over to visit her, and she was telling me about this guy that lives down the block from her. And I'd been writing this character that, was wreaking havoc in Dee's life. And she was telling me about him. I thought, this is like the same person. He's
real
for everybody, and he takes a joy in it. Total narcissistic personality.
There's a lot of those around.
So have you started the next book?
Yes, it's called 9 Days, and so it's interesting, Elgin, that you said that it starts out kind of like, okay, someone's got a problem, they want Dee to help, or they want Gordy and Dee to help, and then it just gets darker and darker and darker and darker, and I'm at the point where it's getting really dark, and which is exciting because now I know that it's like downhill. I've been going uphill, setting things up and making sure everybody has got their place. And then now it's like, okay, downhill. So I'm hoping that the second half will, once you get to the middle of the book, to like the middle of Act 2, things got to go down. So I'm really having fun with it, but it's different because it's not different. It's still Dee Rommel and stuff like that. But what I've found is if I can find something that I'm trying to explore myself, like in 10 Days, there's that AI component that I was fascinated with. And in this book, there's another component that Dee knows nothing about. So she gets to explore that and learn about that and come to some kind of opinion about it during the book also.
Yeah, it's amazing when you're writing a story. If you get the fundamentals established to begin with the background, the background of the characters, and you make that character a person that well, as almost as well as yourself, or somebody that's a good friend of yours, and you let that character tell you the story. I mean, they'll tell you the story. They'll tell you what's going on, what's interesting. It's amazing to see that. I mean, it just happens all by itself. I mean, you don't even plan half of it. And I know people like Laurel and Scott. She has like a storyboard with the lines drawn and everything going on. I don't write that way personally. I will apply that kind of stuff to it at the end of it. But it's amazing that you're sitting there in front of a blank page, and then 20 minutes later you've got a couple of pages written, and you're going, wow, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah, who's this person? When did this person come into my mind? Here, I'm going to show you the cover of the book because
I was going to say, I see behind you, you have a picture on your wall also.
I know, and I realized that my head was right in front of it. There it is.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I can, maybe we'll get it bigger even. But yeah, so I think that Panda Moon did such a beautiful job with the cover. I just love it.
It is really, it's so eye-catching. The colors are beautiful.
It looks so big. The book.
Well, yeah, and it's so I've kind of committed myself to this character for the next couple years, which is a big thing for me, because I tend to I love to write, and I love to write in different genres, screenplay, literary genres, and then story genres also, and so it's kind of interesting and kind of scary at the same time that I've had to focus and go, if I want to get a series done, I have to not do anything else.
You've got a couple of books out that are historical. They're based on real people, but it's not necessarily historical fact. It's just based on their lives.
Yeah, historical fiction. Yeah.
But you've got a couple of those, and you've got your previous publication with us, Find Me in Florence, was about a person in the 60s that was one of the mud angels in Florence and was saving the great art treasures in Florence during a flood. And years later, her daughter is in Florence discovering all this stuff about her. So that was kind of a mystery too, in its way.
Yeah.
And uncovering all the facts about all these people, the historical figures, that's solving mysteries as well. So you've always been a mystery writer.
Well, maybe that's true. Maybe that's true.
Now that we look at it that way.
Yeah, we're going
to we'll warp it to fit the situation. But,
yeah. Well, it's interesting because Dee's got so many obstacles that she's put in her life, being open to intimacy with people. She's got good friends, but there's a lot of people that she blocks also because she just is, she's had a kind of a different kind of bringing up with her family situation. And then after she was injured, her the guy that she, had been living with her for a long time, he couldn't deal with it. He left, and she's got Gordy, who's kind of her rock, but she's just and
Gordy's not really there for her when she starts out on this mission.
At the very top. But yeah, so she's got a lot of things that I can explore, so it's fun.
Best of luck with the book. We'll be promoting it for you, of course. That's what we do. We want to see it be a success.
Yeah, I want a TV show.
It's got to end up on film or on TV.
It would be so great as a TV show. Film.
It'd be a natural for a series.
It really would. It would. It would be a hit.
Well, thank you.
It checks all the boxes. I mean, Christine and I talked about this on our show before because we've been waiting for this interview. You've got a character, she's a strong female. She's snarky at times. She's solid in her opinions. She's not a weak character. I mean, she's not a pushover, and that's a popular type of character right now. I mean, it's driving everything because we're finally discovering that women have a more important role in the world than they've been given credit for.
Well, we always knew it, Christine.
Yeah.
I first came to that realization when I was critter sitting for one of my friends. She had a snake and two cats, and her snake was a boa, so she didn't want the cats to become dinner. So that's the reason why I was critter sitting for her, because she was out of town for a couple of days. And I went to use her restroom. It was like the first time I'd been in the upstairs bathroom, and she had a sign over her toilet that said women have to work twice as hard to get paid half as much as men. And then the little caption at the bottom said, "Luckily, this isn't too hard."
That's great.
When I was growing up, I had two older sisters and my mom around me all the time. My dad was working on the farm. So when I was real little, I only had females around me most of the time. Then I started going to work with my dad on the farm and helping him out. So I got to see my dad. So I had a lot of role models from both sides. But when it became time for me to have children, and I'm trying to make these little impressionable human beings into the type of people that are going to be, good contributing citizens to the world. I'm looking around for books to read to them at night, and there's nothing with heroic women as main characters for children, that I could find. This is back in the 90s. So I had to invent some characters to give them, somebody that they could identify in. So that's how I wrote, some of the characters in my books.
Yeah.
They came from that foundation. Now I didn't have any problem finding stories to read to my son, that had to have heroic figures. I mean, a lot of male lead characters, and that hasn't totally corrected yet. So
Well,
I mean, it's still a journey that we got to go on here.
Well, Christine, did you read Nancy Drew when you were growing up?
I did.
Of course. And then you got Madeline L'Engle, and it's there. I think there's some strong young female, heroines out there but you didn't grow up reading them. So then when you were trying to,
I wasn't aware of them.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I grew up in Fargo, North Dakota, and walking to the library from my house every week and just piling on the books. And
same.
I would get all the historical fiction about, fabulous women. And so they're there to find, but yes, the male protagonists, especially in television and the movies, took, they dominated for eons. So it's good to see a mix now.
I agree.
Well, we've enjoyed talking to you. This has been fun, as
Jule,
always.
you're just amazing. I think you're wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Your creativity just astounds me. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. Well, thanks you guys. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties, but we figured it out.
Yeah, we figured it out. So
thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.